Okay, so if you've ever felt that constant pull between hitting your short-term targets and, actually building a brand for the long run, then this is for you. We're about to break down the long and the short of it by Les Binet and Peter Field. And trust me, it's a total masterclass in how to solve that exact problem and drive some real sustainable growth.
And hey, this isn't some newfangled problem. You gotta go way back to 1993, when the legendary management guru Peter Drucker just hit the nail on the head. He perfectly described this tension that marketers are still dealing with every single day. That pressure for instant results, it often works directly against what you need to do for long-term success.
So that really brings us to the million-dollar question, doesn't it? This is what this whole analysis is designed to answer. I mean, when your boss, your clients, your dashboards, everything is just screaming for those quick wins, how on earth do you make the case for the long game? How do you actually balance the two without going crazy? To get that answer, we first have to get really clear on the two fundamental, and let's be honest, often conflicting ways of doing marketing. This is it. The Great Divide. Sales activation versus brand building.
This slide really lays it all out perfectly. So think of sales activation over on the left as like harvesting apples. You're just picking all the low-hanging fruit from customers who are ready to buy right now. It's super fast, you get immediate results, but then the tree's empty. Brand building, on the other hand, is watering the tree. It's all about creating future demand, building these positive memories and feelings so that when someone is ready to buy down the road, your brand is the very first one that pops into their head.
And check this out. This chart just brilliantly shows the temptation of the short term. I mean, look how easy it is to get a quick win by driving up sales volume. But then look at the real engine of long-term profit, pricing power. That's your ability to charge a bit more without people running away. And as you can see, that takes way longer to build. If you only chase volume, you are missing the biggest piece of the profit puzzle, period.
All right, so if we know we need both, then what's the right balance? How are you supposed to split your budget? Well, amazingly, the report gives us a surprisingly specific, evidence-based answer.
And here it is, the famous golden ratio. After analyzing thousands of campaigns, Binet and Field found that the absolute sweet spot for maximum effectiveness is, on average, a 60-40 split. Yep. That's 60% of your budget going to long-term brand building and 40% going to that short-term sales activation. And this isn't just some number they pulled out of thin air. It's where they found peak efficiency.
So let's just make this crystal clear. The 60-40 rule isn't a guess. It's not a theory. It is the optimal balance, proven by a mountain of data, for maximizing your profit. 60% to build for tomorrow, 40% to win today. It's that simple.
Okay, so now we know the what, the 60-40 rule, but why does it work? Well, this is where it gets super interesting, because it all comes down to the psychology of how our brains actually make decisions.
So this is all based on the Nobel Prize-winning work of Daniel Kahneman. He figured out that we basically have two systems for thinking. System 1, that's our fast, automatic, emotional pilot. It's running the show for most of our daily decisions. Brand building speaks directly to that System 1, creating those gut feelings and associations. Then you have System 2. That's our slow, deliberate, rational co-pilot. It only kicks in for big, effortful decisions. And that's what sales activation targets, with facts and figures and reasons to act right now.
And this timeline, wow. This shows you exactly why that distinction is a multi-million-dollar idea. Just look at how the rational System 2 campaign gets a quick win in the first 6 months, but then the power of emotion takes over. The System 1 brand-building campaign doesn't just overtake it, it keeps accelerating in profitability, while that short-term approach just flatlines. This is what the long game looks like when it pays off in real dollars.
Now this leads us to what might be one of the most powerful and honestly one of the most undervalued levers for growth that Binet and Field uncovered in the research, and we are talking about creativity. So we know emotional campaigns work. But what happens when you make them highly creative? You know, the kind of stuff that wins the big awards. Just how much more efficient are they at growing a business? Seriously, take a guess. Double? Triple? Maybe?
The answer is pretty mind-blowing. It's 10 times. No, seriously, that is not a typo. The data is absolutely clear. Highly creative, award-winning campaigns are 10 times more efficient at growing a business. This is the proof that great creative isn't just fluffy, nice-to-have art. It is one of the most powerful financial levers you can possibly pull.
So how does this magic actually work? Well, it pretty much comes down to one big word: fame.
Great creative work makes a brand famous. It gets people talking, it becomes memorable, top of mind, and that fame is what builds the deep emotional connection. It allows you to charge more, and it even makes all your short-term ads work better. Creativity is literally the engine for everything else.
Okay, so we've got the strategy, we have the budget split, we've got the creative amplifier. But listen, none of that matters if you are measuring the wrong things. We have to talk about the crucial feedback loop.
Binet and Field give us a really stark warning here, and this is so important. They basically say if you only measure short-term effects, you will only ever optimize for short-term tactics. Let that sink in. In other words, you get what you measure. If your whole dashboard is just about clicks and conversions this week, your strategy will eventually shrink to fit that dashboard, and that is what kills long-term growth.
So, the solution is to use a balanced scorecard. Absolutely, you should track your short-term activation stuff like clicks and sales. But you have to balance those with long-term brand metrics, like brand equity, how much people actually value your brand, price elasticity, and of course, market share. One tells you if you're harvesting well today, the other tells you if you'll have anything left to harvest tomorrow.
And that brings us to the final, critical question that you should take back to your team. I want you to look at your marketing dashboard. Is it the blueprint for a cathedral that you're building over the next decade, or is it just counting the bricks you laid today? Because the answer to that question will absolutely determine your future.